gain structure. So as we're working on mixing and preparing to start getting our levels set, we need to understand the gain structure. So gain is really kind of level, it's amplification, it's the level of a signal, and there's a handful of places in the flow of the signal where the gain can be adjusted. So we're going to look at some of those places. So the first place where the gain can be adjusted in our session, in our circumstance, because we are playing back or mixing what's playing back from waveform recorded audio files, is the waveform audio file. So if we take a look at that, right now we're going to look at our kick track. We'll solo that, and you can see right here that we have our waveforms. Now, the higher that the waveforms are, higher and lower, the larger they are, the louder they are, and the more gain they are producing. So right now we have the option to take a track like this waveform, this region, and adjust the gain. And in order to adjust the gain on a waveform like this, you would have to physically go in, digitally go in, and not just turn a knob or something like that, but you'd have to actually go to a gain plugin and adjust the gain. So we could actually turn down the gain or something like that. And if we did that and processed it, you'd see that the actual waveform is going to get smaller. Okay, and we just totally turned that down quite a bit. Let's not go as extreme, and you can see, there we go. So what we're doing is we're actually physically turning that down, so it's going to be softer. Okay, and you'll notice that on the meter here it doesn't go as high, and so we've physically turned down the gain of the signal. Now usually you get that kind of set by your recording and such, and oftentimes if you have recorded and it's at a low level like this, you could turn to a gain plugin or a normalized plugin, which a normalized plugin is similar to gain, but what it's going to do is it's going to say, okay, where's the highest peak? Let's get this highest peak to a percentage, maybe 100%, and let's figure out how much gain to add. So if I hit process, boom, it's going to take the highest peak in this whole track, this whole waveform, and put it at full gain, full 100%. So there's no headroom left, which headroom is area in which to increase the gain some more. So usually you never actually go 100%, go something like that, 89, 90%, and there we got some healthy levels. So we're just going to hit undo a couple times, and it gets us right back to our original waveform right there. Okay, so if we take a look at our meter in our mix window, we'll see that as we play this track back, we can see the level going on here. And in our fader here, we have a bunch of numbers next to it. So let's take a look at these numbers and what they mean. So the 0 is right here, not at the bottom, but right towards the top in the middle. And what that means is that there is 0 gain being added to the signal. So there's no amplification or gain added, or attenuation or gain taken away. And so you'll notice that as we raise our fader there, we get some positive numbers, and as we lower below the 0, we get negative numbers. So that's amplification and attenuation. And so at 0, which I can hold Option and click on it in Pro Tools, it'll jump to unity or 0. The key thing that's happening is that nothing is being changed on the signal. So if this is at 0, if it's at unity, then our signal's passing right through there. It's not being turned up, it's not being turned down, as you can see. The meter is showing exactly that. So right here, we're seeing exactly the level that's coming off of that waveform. Now watch what happens if we turn up or turn down our fader. You'll notice that nothing changes on our meter here. And that's because our settings right now are set to pre-fader metering. So if we go to Options and change this to post-fader metering, just uncheck the pre-fader metering, watch what happens now. Okay, see that? Now we go to the red, and as we bring it down, then we can make that meter just disappear of signal altogether, because we've taken that signal to negative infinity, as it's called. So we just basically take it as far away as it can possibly be taken. Okay? And as we bring that back up, we see our signal again. So it's important to realize that even though your fader and your meter looks like you don't have any distortion happening, you're not going red or anything like that, it's possible that if you're at pre-fader metering and you're just cranking this up, even though your meter looks fine, you are actually putting some red, some distortion happening on the output of the track. So it's really important to understand where your gain levels are and when distortion can happen in those. But those are the first two we'd like to talk about. Our original track, our waveform, and adjusting the gain in there, and then also our fader here and how unity gain functions, and amplification and attenuation. And that's the start of our gain structure.